The hammer falls with a sharp crack against mahogany, and my grandmother's sapphire ring, the one I gave Sarah 3 years ago, disappears into the hands of a stranger. Again. I watch from the back of the auction house as Lot 47 sells for $8,500. The scent of old leather and desperation thick in my nostrils. Sarah trembles beside her new husband, Marcus, in the front row, clutching the bidding paddle that just funded their Italian honeymoon. She doesn't see me lurking in the shadows, doesn't know I've been reborn from the ashes of our destroyed engagement. The sting of betrayal is a familiar metallic taste in my mouth. But I do see the quiet satisfaction on Marcus's face as he pockets the sale receipt. They have no idea what they've just unleashed. 2 weeks earlier, my world had shattered. I'd been scrolling through social media, the afternoon sun casting long shadows across my living room floor, when their honeymoon photos appeared. Venice, Rome, the Amalfi Coast. Each picture was a glossy stab to the heart, all funded by my family's legacy. The weight of it made the air in my lungs feel thin. The ring that had survived 3 generations, 2 wars, and my grandmother's final whispered promise to keep it in the family had been reduced to vacation money, to gelato and gondola rides. My hand started to shake, the phone clattering as I dropped it on the coffee table. My breath hitched. It felt like the room was closing in, the cheerful yellow of the walls suddenly oppressive. I panic-called my lawyer first, my voice a ragged whisper I barely recognized. "She can't do this," I'd managed, the words tumbling out in a rush. Then I called my sister Emma, pacing my apartment like a caged animal, the worn patch on the rug near the window, a testament to countless anxious circuits. The city sounds outside, usually a comforting hum, grated on my nerves. "She can't just sell it?" I'd said. The metallic taste of betrayal flooding my mouth again, so sharp it was almost a physical pain. It was a conditional gift. I could almost feel the cold, smooth surface of the ring in my palm, the way Grandma Rose used to let me hold it. "James, you gave it to her for the engagement," Emma replied, her voice crackling through the phone, a sigh embedded in her words. "When she ended things, legally." The word legally felt like a punch to the gut. "Legally, she's a thief!" I seethed, the anger a hot, coiling thing in my stomach. My fist clenched, and I wanted to hit something, to break something, to make the physical world reflect the ruin inside me. But Emma, ever the pragmatist, was right. The law didn't recognize the weight of 4 generations of love and history. It didn't understand that Grandma Rose had pressed that ring into my palm the night before she died, her papery fingers surprisingly strong as she made me promise. Her eyes, though clouded with age and illness, still sharp with intent. "Keep it safe, Jamesy," she'd rasped, the scent of lavender and old books clinging to her. "Keep it in the family." The memory made my throat tighten. I'd nodded, too choked up to speak, and that nod had felt like a sacred vow. Now I stand in the hushed, opulent air of Whitmore Auction House, the scent of old leather and even older money a suffocating blanket, watching the aftermath of my failure to protect what mattered most. The quiet satisfaction on Marcus's face as he pockets the sale receipt is a fresh twist of the knife. Sarah still trembles beside him, a vision in a dress the color of champagne, but her eyes, when she briefly glances around, are carefully blank. It's a look I remember from the last days of our relationship, a shuttered, unreadable expression that had warned me of the coming storm. My methodical research into auction houses over the past week had led me here, a grim pilgrimage to witness this final desecration. I'd spent hours online, fueled by black coffee and a burning sense of injustice, tracking the ring's likely path. The faint hum of the auction house's ventilation system seems to mock my silent rage. The auctioneer, a portly man with a voice like gravel and honey, clears his throat. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have some interest from bidder 23 for the unclaimed items from lot 32. My number. I'd registered as bidder 23 under a fake name, a quiet power move, a small act of rebellion in this theater of loss. My heart hammers against my ribs. This isn't over, not by a long shot. The winning bidder for lot 47, my grandmother's ring, is a woman in her 60s named Margaret Chen. She has an air of quiet wealth, her silver hair impeccably styled, her movements precise and unhurried. I watch as she signs the paperwork, her pen scratching softly in the otherwise quiet auction room. I follow her silver Mercedes through the snarl of downtown traffic, my hands gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turn white. The city lights blur into streaks of color, mirroring the turmoil inside me. My heartbeat echoes in the sudden emptiness of my car, a frantic drum against the silence. I'm stalking my own history, calculating how to liberate a piece of my soul. The rain that had been threatening all afternoon finally begins to fall, fat drops splattering against the windshield, making the world outside seem watery and distorted. She parks outside Hartwell Estate Jewelry, one of those high-end consignment shops that cater to old money families liquidating assets, its discreet brass plaque gleaming even in the dimming light. The scent of rain begins to mingle with the metallic tang of exhaust fumes as storm clouds gather overhead, casting the street in an eerie, bruised light. I wait across the street for 3 hours, the car growing cold and damp. The glow of a nearby street lamp casts long, dancing shadows. Each minute stretches into an eternity, my patience worn thin, my muscles stiff. When Margaret emerges empty-handed, a small, satisfied smile playing on her lips, I know she's just flipped my grandmother's ring for a quick profit. My stomach clenches. This is moving faster than I anticipated. Inside Hartwell's, the air is hushed, smelling faintly of beeswax and old velvet. A thin man with wire-rimmed glasses and a neatly trimmed beard examines the ring under a jeweler's loupe, his brow furrowed in concentration. The shop is an oasis of quiet luxury, a stark contrast to the storm brewing inside me. 1920 setting, natural salon sapphire, he murmurs to his assistant, a young woman with wide, eager eyes. Classic. We'll start the asking price at $12,000. My chest tightens. In 6 hours, they've already added a 40% markup. It's a cold, calculated business, and my family's heirloom is just another commodity. When will it go on display? I ask, forcing my voice to remain steady, my tone carefully neutral. I've created multiple fake identities online over the past week, researching jewelers, appraisers, and auction schedules. A quiet power move, preparing for this very moment. The manager looks up, his gaze sharp. Tomorrow morning. We have several interested collectors already. A piece like this won't last long. The faint ticking of a grandfather clock in the corner of the shop seems to underscore his words, each tick a countdown. I nod, feigning casual interest, and retreat to my car, my mind racing. Time is becoming my enemy. Every hour that passes, the ring travels further from my reach, its connection to me growing more tenuous. The shop closes in 2 hours, its heavy oak door a barrier between me and my grandmother's legacy. I need to act before serious collectors, with their deep pockets and inscrutable motives, arrive in the morning. The city feels alien and hostile, its glittering lights indifferent to my desperate hunt. The rain intensifies, drumming a relentless rhythm on the car roof. The next morning, I return to Hartwell's wearing my best suit, the fabric a little tight across the shoulders, a reminder of how long it's been since I last had cause to wear it. I carry a worn leather briefcase filled with official-looking documents I'd meticulously printed at Kinko's the night before. The crispness of the paper and the texture of the fake business cards between my fingers, a small, reassuring weight. The receptionist's perfume, something floral and expensive, probably jasmine, fills the air as I approach her polished mahogany desk. Her smile is professional, distant. "James Mitchell, from Pinnacle Insurance Appraisals," I say, my voice deeper, more authoritative than usual. I slide a fake business card across the gleaming surface. The card feels cool and smooth. "I'm here about the sapphire ring you acquired yesterday. Lot 47 from Whitmore's?" Her eyes widen slightly, a flicker of concern in their cool blue depths. "Is there a problem?" she asks, her perfectly manicured fingers pausing over her keyboard. "Potentially," I say, injecting a note of grave concern into my tone. "We've had reports of stolen jewelry making its way through that particular auction house. Fraudulent consignments. I need to examine the piece and verify its provenance before it goes any further." I allow a beat of silence, letting the implication hang in the air. This is a deception, a manipulation, but I am trying to infiltrate their system, to reclaim what is mine. 20 minutes later, after some hushed phone calls and furtive glances from the back office, I'm holding my grandmother's ring again. The weight of it in my gloved hand threatens to overwhelm me. All those Sunday dinners when she'd let me polish its intricate silverwork, all those stories about Grandpa David proposing to her under a sky full of stars during the war. The sapphire, a captured piece of that twilight. The sapphire catches the light exactly as I remember, its deep blue facets seeming to hold a universe of memories. The cool metal feels like an extension of my own family's history. I have to fight back a wave of emotion, my throat constricting, but I can't just walk out with it. Not yet. That would be too rash, too risky. "The hallmarks check out," I tell the manager, Mr. Abernathy, his wire-rimmed glasses perched precariously on his nose. My voice is surprisingly calm, betraying none of the storm raging within me. But I'll need to run the serial numbers and assess the stone's unique inclusions through our international database, cross-reference it with our stolen items registry, standard procedure. He nods, looking relieved. "Of course, Mr. Mitchell. We pride ourselves on our due diligence." "I'll have a full report for you by end of business today," I assure him, placing the ring carefully back into its velvet box. The snap of the lid feels like a small victory. As I leave the shop, the bell above the door chiming softly, a movement across the street catches my eye. My breath catches. It's Marcus, looking smug and relaxed, entering a trendy coffee shop, the kind with exposed brick and artisanal pastries. He's supposed to be in Italy, living it up on Sarah's, on my family's money. What is he doing here? I slip into the coffee shop's back corner, the aroma of dark roast and cinnamon a jarring contrast to the bitter taste of espresso and betrayal rising in my throat. I'm close enough to eavesdrop, but hidden behind a large abstract painting by a local artist. Marcus sits across from a man I don't recognize, older, maybe late 50s, with slicked back silver hair, and wearing an expensive Swiss watch that gleams under the cafe's industrial chic pendant lights. He exudes an air of quiet, predatory confidence. "The ring sold exactly as planned," Marcus says, his voice smooth and self-satisfied as he stirs sugar into his cappuccino. The clink of the spoon against porcelain seems unnaturally loud in the sudden stillness that has enveloped me. Sarah has no idea I switched out the insurance appraisal before she took it to auction. She thinks she got top dollar for a minor heirloom. My blood turns to ice water. My hand instinctively goes to my pocket, fumbling for my phone. He didn't just encourage her to sell it, he actively deceived her about its value. The careful facade I'd constructed at Hartwell's threatens to unravel. "And the real value?" the stranger asks, his voice a low rumble. He takes a slow sip of his own black coffee, his eyes never leaving Marcus. "According to the updated appraisal I obtained privately," Marcus continues, a smirk playing on his lips, "closer to 40,000. It's a genuine salon sapphire, untreated, not the synthetic the original insurance company conveniently listed." He chuckles, a dry, unpleasant sound. "Old money families are so careless with their paperwork." The older man chuckles with him, a predatory glint in his eyes. "Your wife thinks she married a struggling artist, a romantic soul. If she knew you've been systematically liquidating her ex-fiancé's rather generous parting gifts to fund your authentic European experience." "She'll never know," Marcus says, dismissing the thought with a wave of his hand. "By the time we get back from the honeymoon, the money will be neatly invested, and I'll have established my gallery connections in Milan. A fresh start, a clean slate." I fumble for my phone, fingers trembling as I activate the voice recorder. My quiet power move. This isn't just about the ring anymore. Marcus isn't just a callous gold digger. He's been planning this intricate con for months, maybe longer. He's a professional. The scent of roasting coffee beans mingles with my rising fury as pieces click into place. The whirlwind courtship. The sudden, almost desperate engagement. The rushed wedding. His insistence on a lavish European honeymoon, despite Sarah's supposed financial concerns he likely manufactured. The stranger leans forward. "And the other pieces? The watch? The first editions?" Marcus grins. "Already on their way to a discerning collector in Zurich. Sarah thinks they're in secure storage." My mind reels. He's been selling off everything I ever gave her. They're leaving for the airport in 4 hours, according to the flight itinerary Sarah had tearfully shown me weeks ago. Once they're airborne, tracking them, recovering anything, becomes exponentially harder. The barista calls out an order, "Latte for Chloe!" And the sudden noise makes me jump. I need to think, and I need to think fast. I spend the next 2 hours at the imposing granite edifice of the Boston Public Library, the silence of the main reading room broken only by the rustle of turning pages and the quiet, rhythmic clicking of keyboard keys. The grand, vaulted ceiling and smell of old paper usually soothe me. But today, they're just a backdrop to my frantic dive into Marcus Thorne's, or whatever his real name is, background. What I discover makes my stomach churn with a nauseous blend of anger and disgust. He's done this before. Twice. Both times targeting recently divorced or emotionally vulnerable women with valuable, easily liquidated assets. His methods are chillingly consistent. Charm, isolate, appraise, and abscond. His real name is Michael Hartwell, and there it is, the connection. The man in the coffee shop was probably a relative, a partner. He's been using his family's legitimate jewelry connections, Hartwell estate jewelry, as a front-to-fence stolen and fraudulently obtained items for the past 5 years. The coffee shop conversation suddenly makes perfect, sickening sense. The older man wasn't just a confidant. He was likely his fence, his uncle or father. My quiet power move, building a complete dossier on his fraud history. I screenshot everything. Court documents from a messy divorce where jewelry disappeared, previous victims' online testimonies on forum threads I never knew existed, archived news articles about a suspected art fraud ring with a Michael H. mentioned in passing, even blurry photos from old social media profiles he'd forgotten to delete. The digital breadcrumbs paint a portrait of a sophisticated predator. Then I create a carefully crafted email on a new, anonymous account, attaching the most damning documents. My fingers fly across the library's public computer keyboard. Subject: Before you board that plane, Sarah, the truth about Marcus. Sarah, you deserve to know who you really married. Check the attached documents. Your grandmother's ring. Yes, I know about the auction, and I know Marcus switched the appraisals, was independently valued at closer to $40,000, not the $8,500 Marcus told you and pocketed. He's been planning this deception since the day he laid eyes on you. This isn't his first time. The choice is yours, but please make it with all the facts. Don't let him do this to you. A friend. I can't bring myself to sign my name, not yet. I hit send, the click of the mouse echoing in the vast, silent room. My heart pounds. Will she even open it? Will she believe it? I immediately call Emma, my voice low and urgent. I need you to pick up a ring from Hartwell Estate Jewelry in exactly 1 hour, I tell her, keeping my voice down. Use the insurance appraiser story. Say James Mitchell from Pinnacle sent you to collect the piece for further off-site analysis. It's crucial evidence in an ongoing investigation. James, what in the world are you? Emma begins, her voice a mix of confusion and concern. Just trust me, Em. Please. And bring your checkbook. Be prepared to pay the $12,000 they're asking. I'll explain everything later, I promise. I need the ring out of there before Marcus, or Michael, realizes his con is unraveling. My phone buzzes almost instantly. A new email. From Sarah. My breath catches. The message is short, stark. James, is that you? Meet me at Logan. Terminal B. Gate 15, 1 hour, alone. Sarah sits alone at Gate 15, slumped in one of the uncomfortable plastic airport chairs, her expensive wedding dress from just 2 weeks ago, replaced by worn jeans and a faded university sweatshirt. Her eyes are red-rimmed and swollen, and she clutches her phone in a white-knuckled grip, like a lifeline. The cavernous terminal echoes with the constant, disembodied announcements of flight departures and boarding calls, the scent of jet fuel and stale coffee hanging heavy in the air, but she doesn't seem to hear any of it. She looks smaller, more fragile than I've ever seen her. He's gone, she says without looking up as I approach, my footsteps echoing slightly on the polished concourse floor. Her voice is flat, devoid of inflection. Took the money, the cash from the auction, and ran when he realized I knew something was wrong. I confronted him after your email. He didn't even try to deny it. I settle into the plastic chair beside her. The cold, impersonal plastic feels appropriate for the desolation of the moment. Where? I ask, my own voice sounding distant. Milan, probably. He always talked about his connections there, or so he claimed. She finally meets my eyes, and the raw pain in them makes my chest ache. James, I'm so sorry. I had no idea the ring was worth that much. I honestly thought I was just selling my old engagement ring, something that represented a past I was moving on from, to help fund our future. He made it sound so reasonable, so practical. Marcus manipulated the insurance appraisal, Sarah. He showed you a fake one. You couldn't have known the true value. My anger at him is a burning coal, but looking at her, all I feel is a profound sadness for the mess he's made of her life, of our shared past. But I should have asked you first. I should have talked to you. Tears begin to flow freely now, tracing paths down her pale cheeks. It was your family's ring, your grandmother's legacy. I remember how much she meant to you. She chokes on a sob. I threw away something irreplaceable, something sacred, for a man who never even existed, for a lie. I pull out my phone and, after a moment's hesitation, play the recording from the coffee shop. As Marcus's smug, confident voice fills the sterile space between us, detailing his deception, his contempt for her, for me, Sarah's expression transforms from grief to a cold, hard fury. The change is startling. That absolute bastard, she whispers, her voice trembling with rage. He said the European honeymoon was his lifelong dream, that he'd been meticulously saving for years. He even showed me a separate bank account. It was all a sham. An announcement crackles overhead. Security alert. All passengers please be aware of unattended baggage. Airport security personnel are starting to move through the terminal with a heightened sense of alertness. They're probably looking for Marcus, but the clock is ticking. International flights are already boarding, and if he gets on one... "I can help you get him," Sarah says, standing abruptly, her spine straightening. The shift in her demeanor is palpable. The grief is still there, but it's now overlaid with a steely determination. The metallic taste of resolve is in my own mouth now, mirroring hers. Her heels click decisively on the terminal floor. "I'm still on all his credit cards, the ones he set up for our joint expenses. He's arrogant. He'll assume I'm too devastated to act. If he's using them in Milan, I can track every purchase, every ATM withdrawal, every hotel booking." For the first time in months, I see the fierce intelligence, the sharp analytical mind that made me fall in love with her in the first place. Sarah was never just a victim, not really. She's a brilliant forensic accountant who once helped the FBI track a complex network of white-collar criminals. She'd downplayed that part of her life when we were together, wanting something softer, simpler, perhaps. But that razor-sharp intellect is clearly still there. My quiet power move, having Emma waiting with the ring as backup, and now Sarah using her own skills to track Marcus. "You'd do that?" I ask, surprised by the intensity of her resolve. "After everything?" "James, he didn't just steal from you, from your family. He stole my entire future. He made me complicit in hurting someone She pauses, her gaze dropping for a moment, then continues more quietly, her voice thick with emotion. "Someone I still care about a great deal." The unspoken words hang in the air between us. We move to a quieter corner of the bustling terminal, near a closed currency exchange booth. She opens her sleek laptop, her fingers flying across the keyboard with practiced speed. Within minutes, she's bypassed his flimsy security measures and accessed their joint account statements, her brow furrowed in concentration. The faint whir of the laptop fan is the only sound for a moment. "He's in Milan," she confirms, pointing to a series of transactions. "Booked a room at the Hotel Spadari al Duomo. Bought a one-way ticket on Alitalia this morning. Charged it to my Amex Platinum. The arrogant fool. And look at this. He's already made contact with Galleria Borghese. At least he's expensed a very expensive client dinner near there. That's one of the places where he claimed to have extensive gallery connections." My phone buzzes with a text from Emma. "Got the ring. Paid Hartwell. It's safe. On my way to you at Logan. ETA 20 mins. What's the plan?" Relief washes over me, so potent it's almost dizzying. The ring is secure. "Sarah," I say carefully, an idea beginning to form, audacious and complex. "What if we could turn his entire con against him? Not just get him arrested, but dismantle his whole operation." Her eyes, still shadowed with sadness, light up with something dangerous, something I recognize. "What did you have in mind, James?" she asks, a ghost of her old, confident smile touching her lips. Just then, 2 uniformed airport security officers approach our table, their expressions serious. "Ma'am?" "Sir, we need to ask you a few questions. We've been looking for you. Your names came up in connection with a passenger who departed rather hastily." The security officers want to question Sarah about Marcus's, or Michael Hartwell's, sudden, ticketless departure and the fraud alert triggered by his use of her credit card for an international flight. The hum of the nearby HVAC system seems to amplify the tension. But her past FBI contact, a pragmatic Agent Reynolds, whom she reaches with a quick, discreet call, vouches for our cooperation after a brief, coded conversation. Within an hour, what started as a personal nightmare has transformed into an official investigation of interstate and international fraud. The air in the small airport conference room they've given us tastes of stale coffee and anxiety. He's made one crucial mistake, among many, Reynolds explains via a secure video call, his face pixelated but his voice clear and authoritative. Using your credit cards across international lines to facilitate his escape and fund his criminal enterprise makes this a federal matter. We can work with the Italian authorities, the Guardia di Finanza, to freeze his assets, monitor his communications. Emma arrives then, looking flustered but determined. She slides a small, elegant velvet box across the conference table towards me. My grandmother's ring. It now feels heavier than ever in my palm, not just with the weight of history, but with the potential for justice. But as I look at Sarah, her face set in lines of grim resolve, a different, more ambitious plan begins to form. My quiet power move, using Sarah's FBI connections to legitimize and escalate the operation. Agent Reynolds, I say slowly, the audacity of the idea making my own heart pound. What if instead of just arresting him, we could recover the stolen money and assets for all his victims? The women he conned before Sarah? The people whose heirlooms he's fenced? Reynolds raises an eyebrow on the video screen. You mean use him to lead us to his full operation? His network? That's a high-risk, high-reward play, Mr. Davies. Exactly, I reply, feeling a surge of confidence. Sarah's still legally married to him. She has access, or can regain access, to everything he's built, all his correspondence, his financial structures. Sarah nods grimly, leaning into the laptop's microphone. His gallery connections in Milan and Zurich aren't just about legitimate art sales. Based on these initial financial records I've pulled and the patterns from his previous cons, he's been laundering money through high-end auctions and private sales for years. He uses the galleries to give his transactions a veneer of legitimacy. The scent of leather from the old passport covers in her discarded travel bag seems to fill the small room. The ring seems to pulse in my hand, its cool sapphire a point of focus in the swirling chaos. My grandmother's legacy won't just be recovered, it will become the key to stopping Marcus or Michael from destroying other families, from tarnishing other legacies. The faint sound of international dial tones from Reynolds' side of the call is a reminder of the global scale of this. We have a narrow window, Reynolds says, his expression serious. We estimate you have approximately 6 hours before Marcus expects Sarah to arrive in Milan, based on standard flight times. If she doesn't show, or if he gets spooked, he'll disappear completely, likely with a new identity. The ticking clock is louder than ever. 3 days later, Milan. The city is a vibrant tapestry of ancient stone and modern style, but I see none of it. My world has shrunk to the confines of the FBI's temporary surveillance van, parked discreetly down a narrow cobblestone laneway. The air inside is thick with the smell of electronics and lukewarm coffee. Sarah's voice, artificially calm and even, echoes through the hotel room's speakerphone, relayed to us via sophisticated listening devices. She's been playing the devoted, slightly panicked wife perfectly for the past 72 hours, convincing Marcus that she discovered my harassment and my attempts to slander him and fled America to join him in their new Milanese life. Her performance is Oscar-worthy. My quiet power move, Sarah convincing Marcus she's still under his emotional and financial control. The art dealer, Signor Bellini, the one you had dinner with? He wants more concrete authentication for the sapphire ring before he finalizes the purchase, she tells Marcus. Her voice steady despite the tiny wire we know is taped to her ribs, sending her every word, his every reaction back to us. He's offering 60,000 euros if we can prove its provenance beyond any doubt. He said something about recent issues with fakes flooding the market. There's a pause. Through the almost silent audio feed, I can hear the faint rustle of fabric as Marcus presumably paces their opulent hotel suite. "That's impossible," Marcus replies, his voice tight with frustration. "The original owner, that ex-fiancé of yours, would never provide legitimate documentation now. He's probably reported it stolen. Bellini is being overly cautious." "Actually," Sarah says, and I can almost hear the carefully constructed smile in her voice, a smile that hides a core of steel. "James might. He's desperate to get me back, darling. He's been calling, texting, leaving these pathetic, heartbroken messages. I think he'd do almost anything to prove he still loves me, to win me back." My chest tightens at how easily the lie flows from her, how convincing she sounds in her role as the conflicted, emotionally vulnerable wife. But this is the crucial moment, the pivot point of our entire orchestrated entrapment. Marcus needs to believe that I'm still the heartbroken, easily manipulated ex-fiancé, not the man in a surveillance van orchestrating his downfall. "You want me to contact James?" Marcus asks, his voice laced with suspicion. "After everything, he despises me." "No, silly," Sarah coos, her tone perfectly pitched. "I want you to let me contact him. I'll wrap him around my little finger. Tell him we'll consider selling the ring back to him, as a gesture of goodwill from you, for a significant sum, say 40,000 euros, the price he now knows it's really worth, but only if he brings all the original family documentation, the old insurance papers, anything that proves its unbroken line of ownership and authenticity, for Bellini." Through the miniature camera hidden in a seemingly innocuous flower arrangement in their suite, I watch Marcus pace. His greed, that insatiable defining trait, wars visibly with his innate caution. But, as always with men like him, greed wins. The prospect of another quick, substantial profit is too tempting. "All right," he says finally, his voice decisive. "Set up the meeting, here in Milan, a public place. And Sarah—" His tone hardens. "No mistakes." The wire goes silent for a moment, then Sarah's voice, a little breathless. "He's agreed. Galleria Vittorio Emanuele II, tomorrow evening. He thinks he's about to make another killing." Then, a beat of static, a muffled sound, and the line cuts out abruptly. Sarah, can you hear me?" Agent Reynolds barks into his microphone. Silence. Something has gone wrong. Milan Gallery, evening. The designated meeting spot, a private viewing room in a prestigious gallery near the Duomo, is a maze of stark white walls, dramatic shadows and spotlights, making the expensive, abstract art cast eerie, elongated silhouettes on the polished marble floors. The air smells of old money, ambition, and a faint, cloying hint of lilies from a massive arrangement near the entrance. Marcus stands beside a sleek, minimalist display case, my grandmother's sapphire ring glinting under the focused gallery lights, its blue fire hypnotic. Sarah stands beside him, looking smaller than I remember, almost childlike in her simple dark dress. Her face is pale, her eyes downcast. But as I approach, carrying a heavy leather briefcase supposedly containing my family's historical documents and the 40,000 euros, I see the truth in her eyes when she lifts them to meet mine for a fleeting second. A flicker of warning. She knows what's coming. She's prepared. My quiet power move, revealing that the ring, in this specific confrontation, was never really the primary stake. "James," Marcus says smoothly, his voice oozing false charm as he extends his hand. A predatory smile plays on his lips. "So glad you could make it. Sarah tells me you're finally ready to be reasonable about the ring. A wise decision." "I am," I reply, my voice echoing slightly in the cavernous, empty gallery. I set down the briefcase on a nearby marble bench. "But first, Marcus, I want to understand something. How many families have you destroyed with this particular elaborate scam? How many heirlooms have you melted down? How many hearts have you broken? His smile falters, a crack appearing in his polished veneer. I really don't know what you mean, James. This is a simple transaction between former rivals, shall we say? Oh, I think you do, I counter, my voice hardening. Sarah showed me the financial records, Marcus. Or perhaps I should call you Michael Hartwell. Amazing how much a brilliant forensic accountant can discover when she truly puts her mind to it, especially when she realizes her entire marriage is a fraud. The color drains from his face, leaving it a sickly gray under the harsh gallery lights. Sarah deliberately steps away from him then, a small, decisive movement that screams defiance. As she does, she subtly adjusts her jacket, revealing the thin, almost invisible wire taped neatly against her black blouse. It's a signal. You see, Marcus, or Michael, you made one crucial error in your otherwise meticulous planning, I continue, my voice gaining strength, each word a hammer blow. You assumed Sarah was just another gullible victim, easily manipulated, easily discarded. But Sarah's the one who helped me track your previous cons, your previous victims. She's been working with the FBI and the Italian Guardia di Finanza for the past 3 days. This whole meeting, it's a setup. Marcus lunges for the main exit, his composure shattering completely, his face a mask of panic. But Agent Reynolds and his Italian counterparts, dressed impeccably as gallery patrons, emerge from the shadows, blocking his escape. Their movements are swift, professional. As they restrain him, cuffing his hands behind his back, the fight drains out of him, replaced by a look of utter disbelief. I walk to the display case and, with a steady hand, lift out my grandmother's ring. It feels warm from the lights. But instead of putting it on my finger, or handing it to Sarah, or even placing it securely in my pocket, I do something completely unexpected. Something that surprises even myself. This ring, I say, my voice clear and carrying in the suddenly silent room, has caused enough pain, enough deception, for one lifetime. And with that, I hold it up to the light, letting its beauty be seen one last time before its next and final journey. 1 month later, Boston. The Children's Hospital Chapel is small, but filled with a gentle, pervasive light streaming through vibrant stained glass windows, painting kaleidoscope patterns on the polished wooden pews. Sister Margaret, the hospital's chaplain, a woman with kind eyes and hands weathered by years of comfort and service, cradles my grandmother's sapphire ring in her palm as if it were made of starlight and prayers. The scent of lemon polish and old hymn books fills the quiet space. "Are you absolutely certain about this, James?" she asks, her voice soft but searching. "It's such an extraordinarily generous donation. A piece of this value with this history." "I'm certain, sister," I reply, a sense of peace settling over me that I haven't felt in years. My grandmother, Rose, always said the ring should help build families, strengthen bonds, not destroy them. This feels right. It feels like what she would have truly wanted. My quiet power move, turning all the pain and betrayal into something beautiful, something transformative. The ring will be the centerpiece of the hospital's annual fundraising gala auction next month. The proceeds are earmarked to entirely fund the Pediatric Oncology Wing's family support programs for the next 5 years. Parents who travel from afar, who can't afford to stay near their critically sick children, will have comfortable housing. Families facing impossible medical bills, the kind that bankrupt and break spirits, will find a lifeline, a measure of hope. Sarah stands beside me, no longer my fiancé, not even a former lover, but something more complicated, more resilient, a friend, an ally, forged through the crucible of shared trauma and the hard-won victory of justice served. We watch together as Sister Margaret carefully places the ring in a velvet-lined display case, ready for its next chapter. "He got 15 years, Sarah says quietly, breaking the comfortable silence. "Federal court doesn't mess around with organized fraud, especially not on that scale. And with the international money laundering charges, he'll serve most of it." "And his other victims? The women he conned before you?" I ask, needing to know. "Restitution is being arranged from his seized assets. What couldn't be recovered immediately, well..." She glances towards the ring in its case. "Your grandmother's ring, through its auction here, should recover most of what the other families lost. It's making them whole again, in a way." A small smile touches my lips. "Good." I pause, then turn to her. "There's something I never told you about that ring, Sarah. Something important. My grandmother never actually wanted the ring to stay in the family," I admit to Sarah as we walk slowly through the bright, surprisingly cheerful hospital corridors. The sound of children's laughter, high-pitched and infectious, echoes from a nearby playroom, a counterpoint to the quiet hum of medical equipment. The walls are adorned with colorful murals of animals and fairy tale scenes. Sarah stops walking, turning to face me fully, her expression open, questioning. The harsh lines of stress that had etched themselves around her eyes during the ordeal in Milan have softened. "What do you mean, James? What did she really say about it?" She said, "Keep it safe, Jamesy, until someone needs it more than we do." Those were her exact words. I can see Grandma Rose's face now, not as she was in those final, pain-filled days, but younger, vibrant, her eyes twinkling with that characteristic blend of mischief and profound kindness. I was so young when she died, so focused on preserving her memory, on holding on to every piece of her, that I think I twisted her wish into something it wasn't. I made it about possession, about lineage. I forgot what she actually valued most, helping others, easing suffering. My final quiet power move, revealing the deepest truth about my own misunderstanding, about finally letting go of my own narrative. Through the corridor windows, we can see children playing in the hospital's specially designed therapeutic garden. Some are in miniature wheelchairs, navigating the winding paths with surprising speed. Others trail IV poles like metallic shadows, but they're laughing and racing and living with that fierce, unblinking intensity that only kids facing true mortality can achieve. The sheer, unadulterated joy in their faces is a powerful antidote to the cynicism that had threatened to consume me. "Marcus was never the real enemy, was he?" I continue, the realization settling deep within me, as clear and solid as the sapphire itself. Or rather, he was just a catalyst. The real battle was my own inability to let go, to honor her actual wishes instead of my rigid, fearful interpretation of them. Sarah takes my hand. Not romantically. There are no lingering sparks of that old flame, but with the firm, comforting grip of someone who understands the profound weight of difficult truths, of burdens finally laid down. Her hand is warm, steady. "So this is you letting go, James?" she asks softly, her eyes searching mine. "This," I say, a genuine smile spreading across my face, feeling lighter than I have in years. "This is me finally listening, really listening." The ring is gone, its physical presence removed from my life. But for the first time since my grandmother's death, I feel like I'm carrying her true legacy correctly. Not as a heavy, suffocating burden of preservation, but as a bright, liberating gift of transformation. Tomorrow or next month, the ring will help save families, mend broken lives. But today, in this moment, it has already saved mine. Through the hospital window, I watch a young father patiently reading a storybook to his sick daughter, her small hand clasped tightly in his. And I know, with a certainty that settles in my very bones, that my grandmother would approve. She would approve with all her generous, loving heart of what her ring and her grandson have finally become.